Welcome back to another lesson in the Blueprint program. In this lesson, we'll be learning about what it means to be a consistent funded trader through an exciting case study, where we will discuss what you need to scale your trading business and eventually make more money with trading. Let me use this lesson to cover two questions you might already have. How much money can I realistically make with trading? And what does consistency in trading really mean? And by the way, this is one of my favorite lessons, and I wished when I was starting out more than a decade ago, someone would have told me these tips, because it's somehow eye-opening what is achievable if you're consistent in your trading approach. We will start by going through a case study to highlight what can be achieved with a consistent, profitable trading approach. From that case study, we derive your personal targets, or in other words, some realistic key performance indicators, short KPIs, that you should be able to achieve. Let's examine the following case. The ability to maintain an average risk-to-reward ratio of 1 to 2, considering only winning trades, combined with a 40% winning ratio, allows us to continuously and consistently grow our account. Okay, as simple as it gets. And we consider that our person is a Forex CFD trader trading a 45K funded trading account with 1% risk per trade. Let's start with a sample month. You take 10 trades in 4 weeks. That's a reasonable average if you focus on swing trading and choosing quality over quantity. Sometimes you might have a little bit less trades in a month, sometimes a little bit more, but it's a very realistic number. So let's look at week 1. In week 1, you have 1 winner and 2 losers. And please keep in mind, each winner is also a 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio. So overall, you had a week that was break even, since 2 losers are leveling out your winner. In week 2, you had 1 winner and 1 loser, meaning you made profit of 1 at the end of the week. In week 3, you had 3 losers and 1 winner. It's a very realistic case study, because it shows that as a trader, you cannot make money every single day, and you cannot make money every single week. You might have break-even weeks, and you might have losing weeks. But it's about the overall average. So bottom line, in week 3, you're down by 1. In week 4, you have only 1 trade, and you have a winner. So at the end of the week, you made 2. Looking at the entire month, you had 10 trades. Out of the 10 trades, you had 4 winners, so 40% winners overall, and 6 losers, so 60% losers. Hence, your win-loss ratio is 40-60. If you look how much profit you made, you were break even in week 1. Week 2 is balancing out week 3, and in week 4, you made 2. So overall, you have a profit of 2. That is your average trading month. Make sense? Well, then let's put some real numbers behind that sample month. As we said in the case study description, let's assume your risk per trade is currently $450. This could be a 45K funded trading account with 1% risk per trade. I hope by now it's clear that we cannot play around with our risk factor. Our risk is always 1, meaning we have to keep our risk constant. The risk variable must be a constant. That's very, very important. So $450 of risk. Week 1, as you remember from the previous animation, you had a break-even week. So bottom line, a zero-sum game for you. Week 2, you made 1, so overall you made $450. Week 3, you're down by 1, so you lost $450. You have losses, right? But they are controlled. And in week 4, you made 2, so you made $900. If this is now your P&L at the end of the month, you had a monthly return of $900. So, if you can accomplish this result month over month, this means you're consistent in your trading approach. Consequently, you're consistently profitable. In other words, if you can achieve this over a period of 12 months, your yearly return would result in $10,800. However, if you're consistent in your approach month over month and you feel comfortable with taking $450 of risk, why not increasing your risk after, for instance, the third month and scale up your business and give yourself a raise? Let's do that on the next slide. So, what you can do now is to simply give yourself a salary raise. You want to scale up your business by taking more controlled risk. You increase your risk variable. Because your trade, the way how you place your set, the entire process never changes regardless of your risk. The only variable in this entire equation that changes is the risk you are going to take per trade. So, if you're now consistent in your approach, then you can increase from, let's say, $450 risk per trade to $900 risk per trade. This could be a $90K prop trading account with 1% risk per trade. The only question that remains is how comfortable do you feel taking $900 risk per trade? So in other words, the mental side of the game. And that's why we have to slowly, together, you and me, have to get you up to become used to these bigger numbers. Because let me tell you out of experience, this makes a huge difference mentally. So, by taking $900 risk per trade, taking into account the same sample month, because you are consistent, your monthly return would now increase from $900 to $1,800. And since you're consistent in your approach, if you can do this month over month, our yearly return would be $21,600. But if you can do this now again, for instance, over a period of 3, 4, 5 months, why not again giving yourself a salary raise and scaling up your business? So let's do this again. So, I hope you slowly understand the concept behind this. Because what do you have to do to increase your salary and scale up your business? What do you have to do? The only variable in the entire equation that you have to change is what? Your controlled risk. You have to increase your one. So now let's increase your risk from $900, where you felt comfortable with and traded consistently profitable for a longer period of time, and increase it to $1,800. This could be a 180K funded trading account with 1% risk per trade. What happens to your monthly return? Taking into account a similar sample month, your return would increase from $1,800 a month to $3,600 a month. And again, if you're consistent in your approach, and you have done this with $450, with $900, well, then you should be able to do it with $1,800. And if you do it for a period of 1 year, your yearly return would be $43,200. Let's do this one more time and give yourself a raise. In reality, of course, you can do this as many times as you want. In the financial market, there's no ceiling for us as retail traders, of course. With Campus Fund, you can scale to $1 million in funding. If you do this a couple of years and you gradually scale up your trading business, then it doesn't make any difference whether you trade with $900, $1,800, or $3,600 of risk. So, as you can see, if you trade, for instance, a 360K Campus Fund account with 1% risk per trade, your average monthly return would be $7,200 or almost $90K yearly. So, what was the whole teaching point on this? Well, first of all, trading is the only business in the world where if you want to make more money, you don't have to put in more what? Time, right? You don't have to put in more time. You want to make more money in real estate? You've got to get more projects, more people, more teams, more time. You want to make more money in your physical business? It could mean more inventory, more employees, more processes, more time. But you want to make more money here in trading. It takes absolutely no more time. It just takes only more what? Money. And we can provide you with all these funds instantly. And with more funds, you can trade with more controlled risk. And as you trade with more controlled risk, you make more money. But it's the same amount of time. In this entire equation, time is not a variable. And money can be anything if you are able to maintain a proper average risk to reward ratio in conjunction with an adequate win-loss ratio. But there's a catch, right? What is the catch? The catch is that you have to become consistently profitable in your approach. And the only way how you reach a level of consistency is by being black and white, objective, and fully rule-based. I hope this makes a lot of sense. And this is a very important concept that I got to get across. To measure consistency, we said we need a combination of two KPIs. Your average risk to reward ratio in conjunction with an adequate win-loss ratio. One of the key takeaways is that your risk to reward ratio is weighted much, much higher here. In reality, you could even have a 30-70 or 20-80 win-loss ratio if your average risk to reward ratio exceeds 1 to 3. But that here is the minimum you should achieve. And if you achieve that minimum of an average 1 to 2 risk to reward ratio with an average win-loss ratio of 40-60, then regardless of risk, you take $450 or $3,600, you are highly, highly profitable. So bottom line, this is what you have to measure yourself with. I hope you enjoyed this lesson as much as I did.